Welcome to the Amitrace Podcast. I'm Tom White, and today's episode is being produced and is brought to you by the Amitrace VidPOD. It's an all-in-one video podcasting solution where you have cameras, you have microphones, you have a switcher, you have a recorder, you have everything you need, and the best part about it is it's mobile. So if you're in a school, you flap down the wings on the table and you roll it through a door, and now if you want to interview your construction teacher, you go to the construction lab to do so. Today I'm really excited for our first episode here. In our studio that is being built, this is our first show, and I'm really excited to have Faras Ahmed. Faraz is our CEO, and Faraz, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, excited to be here.
And so Faraz, real quick, just kind of tell the Amitrace story, because it's a long story. We're almost at 40 years for the company. So tell it from your perspective, because it's older than you are.
It is older than I am. The business started about a year before I was born. So my dad actually started this business with my mom, repairing calculators and cash registers. So think back in the 80s, high-end cash registers or calculators. So he kind of started his business doing that, and then, of course, evolving to selling cash registers and then computers. And so that kind of journey kept happening. The real leap there was going to something called Commodore and the Amiga, if any of our users remember that. And so back in the day, Commodore and Amiga, the cool thing about it was that the output actually matched video resolution. And so it became this hub for video and broadcast. And so that's how we kind of fell into that category and that niche. And it just continued to kind of evolve, where we were doing live production switchers. We went to the Mac and did editing. We became a production house. We had duplication services. We did Mac sales. We did a lot of editing. Back in the day, every platform out in there we were selling, whether it be Matrox or Speed Razor, Media 100, Avid, Screenplay, a bunch of others that I just can't remember. And so we've kind of evolved with our customers and the industry, and our customers have kind of evolved with us. So some of our customers have been with us since the late 80s, early 90s. So it's been pretty cool. I grew up in the business the entire time. So the whole time I was in the business, immediately after I was born, I would come into the office. My pack and play was in the closet. I have memories when I was a kid. Me and my sister, we would hide under the tables when customers would come in. So we've just always been a part of this. Every Saturday, I would come into the office from as long as I could remember. That was kind of time I got to spend with my dad on Saturdays, is going to the office in the morning. It was a short 4 or 5 hour day usually. So kind of going on here, kind of trying to fast forward here a little bit. In 2015, many of our listeners might know Bruce Ellsworth. He was with us for 25 plus years. Everything I know about the industry, he taught me. So he was a core part of our family, and he moved on to a different job. And we still keep in contact. It's been fantastic. He's still a large part of our family, personally and professionally, really. But that's when I took over, and we kind of had to rebuild for a few years because he was obviously a huge loss. And so we rebuilt and then kind of went from there. And now we've really focused on certain categories and are really excited about helping people tell their stories.
One of the things that I enjoy the most about just talking with you are hearing some of those Amitrace memories. And I've got a couple that you've shared with me. What is your first Amitrace memory?
One memory that really sticks out. So back in the day, Commodore, right? Amiga, these are very old computers, even before Windows. There was a product called the Video Toaster made by NewTek. Some of you guys might know about it. Kind of was the first time video was on the computer. So it had software and then a lot of content, right? So again, I'm dating myself a little bit, but some of the folks on here might remember there were Kiki wipes, right? Where Kiki would kind of walk in and do a little wand, or these little transition wipes. The falling sheep is another kind of memorable one. So to load all that content on, I think it was something like 45 floppy disks. Right? And you had to put one floppy disk in, and then it would kind of do its thing. A couple minutes later, I can't remember how long. As a kid, it felt like days. But, I'd wait for it to do its thing, and then you would eject it and put the next disk in. And you'd kind of do that for 40 disks. It would take a couple hours. And honestly, the memory I remember is if one disk was corrupted, then what? that was the nightmare of the whole process. And that's kind of what I remember more than anything. And of course, I wasn't helping because I would sit there as a kid just kind of moving the disc back and the little floppy disk back and forth. But yeah, that's one of the fun early memories I remember.
And if you have a TriCaster, you have Kiki in your TriCaster.
You do.
She's in the footage that comes with your TriCaster and your DDRs.
Yep, the green screen footage. So yeah, Kiki was part of the New Tech, and then Play, which was kind of Trinity, and then now, of course, with TriCaster as well.
So it makes me laugh. You talk about doing the discs. The memory that I have of you is when you told me that your job during some of the demos in the early days was to fan the computers to keep them cool.
Honestly, that was my dad. So that was my dad would do that as well. While Bruce was doing demos, with these early products, kind of like the Flyer and things like that, these products, were kind of in beta or prototype. And so, yes, he would literally be sitting there behind a demo with a little can of compressed frozen air, trying to keep the chips cool enough. Same thing with the rendering farms, the Raptors and things like that. They would overheat, so you had to just kind of keep cooling them down manually.
That's that bootstraps. That's that small town, that small business philosophy. That's awesome.
Just trying to make it through the demo.
I had that feeling many times. So since you took over in 2015, kind of what has changed in terms of your perspective of the company and kind of what it is and what it does?
When I took over, I saw us as an AV integrator, right? We sold equipment and helped people, and that was our kind of a philosophy. And the philosophy that my dad always said was, you keep your customers happy, you take care of your customers, everything else will take care of itself. So that part hasn't changed. We stay hyper-focused on our customers. We've kept customers for 30 plus years. We want to keep them for another 30, now 40 years, really. In terms of technology and how I see ourselves, I've really focused on the idea of selling workflows and really helping people be able to tell their stories and focus on content creation. I've been in the industry now. I was a producer and a director and an editor, all those things. And stuff has gotten so much easier, but telling a story is still hard. There's the content part of it that's hard, but then also expectations are so much higher. The content that I would create, 20 years ago would not fly at all as even, Facebook video now, because the expectations are so much higher. So we're just trying to help our clients tell their stories.
Got you. And you've been around the company your entire life, and you've seen the struggles, you've seen the wins, you've seen the losses. What has been your biggest win since 2015? And almost in 10 years, you're past the 10-year mark.
There's a lot of key wins. We've been very, very lucky with the people that we have. And so from a business perspective, some of the wins I think of is the team and being able to retain them for as long as we have. That's just a real win for me, as well as seeing our team members get promoted and take on more and more responsibilities and kind of move up their career ladder within Amitrace. So that's been a great thing and something very exciting. Another big business kind of thing that I am very excited and proud and kind of can see the transformation of our company is our new building, right? It's been 8x, square footage wise. So we just have a lot more space. We get to spend a lot more time with each other. It's just a lot more fun to work because we have a common place to work.
I don't have to come in and build my desk every day and pray that it's going to be there long enough for me to get what I need to get done.
You have to share that story. You have to share that story.
In our old facility, it was 3 rooms and a bathroom, and that was it. And I didn't have an office, and I work out of the house most of the time. But when I would come in, I would have to take equipment off of the shelves and kind of build a desk so I could set my laptop down, and then I'd have to go find a chair somewhere. And it wasn't uncommon that I would be working and Matthew would come in and go, "I need that light." So my desktop was gone, and that was so moving into the new building has been a blessing, because even though I'm not here every day, I come in and I know that I'll have a desk and a place to sit. So that's kind of nice.
To follow up on your question, I think technically in terms of the projects that we've done a lot of really interesting and cool ones. The ones that are most exciting for me are honestly the IP ones, because it's where we're really kind of pushing the edge of technology and doing stuff for a tenth of the price, right? And especially when we were doing it early on in 2017, 2018, it was really cutting edge. Now, some of the exciting things that we're doing are really cloud-based, I think. That stuff has been really fun to me. And then, of course, some of the VR production that we're doing is again, very future-forward, so I get really excited, like that project we just did in Forsyth.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really good success stories in terms of those projects and you touched on the team and it's a small team. There's less than a dozen people who work for our company. And the thing about it is if you look at our team from a 30,000 foot view, you go, well, it's a team of 12 people. But then you look down and you really kind of look at them. Our team's special. I mean, we've got people who are, and it's not on purpose, I don't think, but it just kind of is the way that it worked, is that everybody kind of has their own specialty, but as a collective, it's kind of the Avengers, but they're not so super specific and super specialized that they can't do other things. And that I think is the beauty of kind of the team that we have. I mean, we really do have a great team of around the way. Talk about building a team for a small company.
It's so interesting, right? And my philosophy on that has changed a lot over the last 10 years. Before you would look at the gap that we had and I'd say, okay, let's try to find that person, fill that gap. And that has really changed now. We are really looking for more complementing our team. So it's always, hey, where is that different skill set coming in that's adjacent to what we need? So that way they can fill our need, but then we also are growing a little bit. And so that's happening over and over with all our folks, especially our engineers, right? We really need a video person, but they are also in a band and really into audio. They also have, networking certifications and, all these different things. So it just really rounds out our skill set. Sometimes I think of our scope of work, if we will, almost like an amoeba, right? It's always kind of changing and growing with the industry in terms of technically what the industry is doing, but then our client needs, right? Podcasting has been around forever, but as you know, it's really blown up in the last couple of years, especially video podcasting. And so it's, again, something that we can complement and kind of bring in. The other thing that's been interesting about our team is we hire for culture fit now, 100%. I used to always. It's sometimes interesting how that will fight itself, where folks that are technically perfect for our situation are often not a great personality fit or culture fit, and don't hold the same values. And so we really first kind of narrow the list down by culture fit and aptitude and things like that, and then we go, okay, can this person technically handle what we want and what we need?
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for your time. We'll do another one of these again soon, I'm sure. Again, today's show is produced on the Amitrace VidPOD, and you can find out information about that at amitrace.com/podcast. Faraz, thank you so much. And for our viewers, thank you so much for watching.
It was a blast. Thank you.